Well, hello, lovely humans, and welcome back to my channel. If you are watching this on Wedding Chicks or over on Facebook, thank you so much for stopping by. Today we're going to talk about something that I know frustrates, probably almost all of you, and that is why the heck vendors don't list their pricing online. I know, as a bride, when I was planning my wedding, this was one of the biggest frustrations for me because I was like, why can't you just tell me how much it's going to cost for you to come to my wedding and do the work that you do? And I would be up late at night researching things and hit dead end after dead end after dead end and be like, what the heck? Like, someone just freaking tell me how much it's gonna cost because I need to be able to budget accordingly. And unfortunately, it's not that simple. And that's something I learned the hard way as a bride, and I have learned even more now as a vendor, that pricing is not one size fits all and it's not cookie cutter, and that vendors don't list it online for many reasons. So of course, I put together a list of what those reasons are. And some of these are reasons that I don't put my pricing online. They're reasons that a bunch of other vendors don't as well. But hopefully what this will do is it'll give you a lot of clarity and some sort of explanation for why it seems like we're trying to bait and switch, which is not true. It's not true at all. There are a bunch of reasons why I can't just tell you what I charge. And neither can a bunch of other vendors. So without further ado, let's jump right on in. Reason number one, your guest count. I know, this is something I talk about all the time, and you guys are probably like, Jamie, it's so annoying, but it's so stinking true. Vendors fall into one of two categories, kind of, when it comes to putting together their contracts, and one would be the amount of hours that you book them for, and the second category would be how many people you have in attendance. So the first category is kind of like your photographer, your videographer, and your DJ, and sometimes your coordinator or your planner. Their fees are based on the amount of hours that you have booked them for. Everyone else falls into the amount of people you've invited. They base their pricing on the products or the service that they're gonna be providing for you on your wedding day. So obviously your caterer needs to know how many people you're gonna have in order to give you a lot more of an accurate price range. Your bartender is gonna need to know how many people they're gonna be serving so they can properly staff the right amount of bartenders and have the right amount of alcohol available. Your florist is gonna need to know how many tables he or she is making centerpieces for. Obviously, 15 centerpieces are gonna cost a lot more than 10 centerpieces are. Kind of. But again, there's more to it than that, which we'll get to in our next point. And even for me as a coordinator, what I charge is oftentimes affected by the amount of guests that are coming to your event. If someone has 200 people, 225 people, I will bring on an additional employee because it's just a lot more to manage. It's more tables to set up, it's more people to move, it's just a lot more moving parts. So I charge more for events that have more than 150 people, because that way I can provide the exact level of service that I want to provide as a coordinator, and make sure that my clients are experiencing the best day possible. And I know that I cannot be the kind of coordinator that I want to be if there are 200 people and I only have one assistant. The second part that matters really, really strongly when it comes to giving you pricing for your wedding day is your style. No wedding is exactly alike. None of them. No wedding is cookie cutter. Every single one is different. It's like a fingerprint, you know? There are elements that make each and every wedding unique, and that's really exciting. But it's also a huge bummer when it comes to pricing because your wedding is different from anyone else's. Going back to the florist example, the design of your centerpieces will strongly affect the pricing. If you want a bunch of bud vases, that's gonna be one cost. If you want a big, tall centerpiece with dripping crystals and a bunch of hydrangeas, that's gonna be another cost. So they can't just tell you it's $65 per centerpiece, because that might seem like a ripoff for a bunch of bud vases, but it might seem like a great deal for a giant tower of hydrangeas. This matters. Your style will affect how much a vendor is going to charge you. The third reason, your level of DIY. Yes, this affects your pricing. Most of the time it affects your pricing in a very positive light, but on occasion it will cost you more. And here's what I mean by that. Kind of piggybacking off of the florist example, a florist may charge you less if you're providing the vessels or the bottles that the flowers are going into, because obviously you're not renting it from them, so they're not going to charge you for rentals if you're providing said rentals. On the flip side, a coordinator might charge you more if you have a lot more setup to do. Much like with the guest count analogy, I actually charge clients more when they have a ton of setup to do, because in order to be the coordinator that I need to be, I can't be in 72 places at once. So if you have handcrafted each and every one of your centerpieces and you need someone to set that up for you, I need to bring on additional staff to make sure that that happens. In your particular situation, that may mean that you are hiring a staffing crew to do setup and tear down for you, or you're hiring a service staff to set up your appetizers or your drink station. those sorts of things. So the amount of DIY that you are doing will strongly affect your bottom line. Reason number 4, your date, your season, and the location in which you're getting married. All of this sounds pretty straightforward, but bear with me for a second. A Thursday wedding will be cheaper than a Saturday wedding, and a Monday wedding may be cheaper than a Thursday wedding. But that all depends on the vendor that you're booking. The season in which you're getting married. If you pick a date in the middle of May, obviously that's a pretty highly coveted spot, especially here in Southern California when the weather outside is so a vendor may charge more of the top end of their pricing in the height of wedding season than they would in the middle of January. But if you're booking it near a holiday or even on a holiday, such as a New Year's Eve wedding, you may find yourself paying more because the vendor needs to pay their employees more to work on a national holiday. And your location matters as well. If you're going to bring in a photographer who lives in a different state, they can't just give you pricing. What they'll have to do is they'll have to investigate airfare, hotel stays, and how much food they might be eating while they're there, because they're gonna have to charge you that amount. Even if they're not from another state, let's say they're 80 miles away, they may charge you travel fees. So knowing your location and the location in which your event is happening will strongly affect how much they're gonna have to charge you. Number 5, upgrades and cuts. There are a gazillion different options to upgrade and cut with almost every single vendor. You can shave off a half hour or an hour with your photographer and save money, or conversely, add on 2 hours to your venue, which will then obviously cost you more. But that doesn't mean you're just renting the space for 2 hours. That means you're hiring the staff to be present for those 2 hours as well. And that's not something that's very easily listed online. A florist will need to talk to you to see if you are dead set on having peonies in your centerpieces, or if you're willing to go for a more cost-effective alternative, depending on the season, like garden roses or some other soft full floral like that, but that's not something they can easily list on their website. They need to have that conversation with you in order to best offer you some alternatives that could end up costing you a lot less. And it would be absolutely ridiculous for a florist to list out each and every single one of the prices on their website per flower. Like, that's so much work. So you have to have a conversation with the florist beforehand to make sure that they know exactly what you want, and then trust them to come up with great alternatives that could save you a lot more money. Reason number 6. Relationships. In order to provide the top level of service that a vendor needs to provide, they need to hear from you. They need to get all of those details that we just discussed, and you need to talk to them and figure out if you like them or not. As much as it would be great to just look at a price and say $2,500 for a photographer, yes, that's amazing. Like, that would be awesome. But you do need to talk to them, because what if they're really obnoxious? And then you just spent $2,500 on someone who you can't stand. So having that conversation, being able to meet with them, the ability to create a relationship and build upon that is one of the huge reasons that a vendor doesn't list their pricing online, because they want you to get to know them and experience who they are to make sure that you're making the best choice for your wedding day. And reason number 7, the amount of confusion that comes with listing prices online. For me, I have 3 set packages that I just kind of tell people, boom, here are the 3 packages: month of coordination, partial planning, and full planning. These are the packages that we provide. However, the reason that I do need to have a conversation with someone is I can custom create a package that fits their needs absolutely perfectly. Because even if I have that line on my website, like custom packages available, the word custom automatically sounds like it's gonna be more expensive, and that's not necessarily the case. My partial planning package has 5 meetings included in it. But what's really difficult to convey on my website is that you could just have 3 meetings, you could just have 2 meetings, and that would cost you less. That, in my mind, is a custom package. But automatically when I use that phrasing, it gets super confusing. So I need to be able to have a conversation with someone, and when I hear their budget and their needs, I'm able to say, you know, it actually sounds like you get away with having 3 meetings instead of 5, and here's what your cost would be. Could you imagine if a florist listed on their website that centerpieces are $65 and then has a conversation with a bride who wants all peonies in an off season, and then gets surprised by a cost of $85 or $125 for centerpieces? That doesn't foster a great relationship between you and the vendor. They need to know what you're looking for so they don't have to kind of remove the damage that may have been started by setting their prices online. So I know it's frustrating, and I know so many of you are going through this, and I know so many of you are probably like, yeah, but still, like, I want to know how much this is gonna cost me. I gotta tell you, vendors don't do it to be jerks. They don't do it to make you reach out to them. They do it because they can't just give you a cookie cutter cost, because your wedding is not cookie cutter. Your wedding is beautiful and specifically yours, and you deserve to have pricing that is fair and accurate for exactly what you're looking for, and not just some generic pricing listed online. So one thing I wanted to touch on before we go is I obviously get a bunch of questions from you guys in the comment section below, on my Instagram, on Facebook, so many different avenues, and some of you even email me, and I'm really, really excited that y'all continue to reach out. It means so much to me. But one thing that I haven't really made available to you guys is consultation hours. If you have questions, if you need advice from a wedding planner, shoot me an email. I would love to set up a time either over the phone or Skype or FaceTime or even in person if you're local here to Southern California, where we can get together for a couple of hours and simply chat about everything in regards to planning your wedding. Our consultation hours are usually a 2-hour minimum, and it's $300 for those 2 hours. And I know that number sounds really big, but I promise you, we go through a lot of stuff during that consultation meeting. So if that's something you're interested in, shoot me an email, reach out and let me know, and we can get something on the calendar, because I want you to know that basically my advice doesn't have to stop here. If you guys want to continue to chat with someone, if you need more advice than I can give in like super generics and overly non-specific, terms here on my channel, reach out. I would be more than happy to chat with you guys and get to know you and your wedding a little bit better. And help you out along the way. So even if I can't be present on your wedding day, even if I'm not local, even if there's a huge distance between us, know that I would still love to be of service for you guys. So that's all we have for today, folks. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you haven't done so already, like this video, subscribe to this channel for more tips and tricks for the modern day bride. As always, a huge shout out to my gal pals over at Wedding Chicks for hosting this video. And until next week, bye guys. Obligatory end of the video. Second channel. You're probably tired of hearing this. I'm like this close to 1,000 subscribers on my second channel. So if you haven't checked it out yet, do it. Do it right now.